We have a few slides prepared just to show you a few examples and kind of walk through the topic we're highlighting today, which is our Students and Scientists program. The long form is Students and Scientists Environmental Research Scholarship Program. And behind me is my toddler. Please ignore him. He may make a few appearances throughout my discussion. He enjoys Zoom calls. So to get us started, I just want to share a little bit about us. So HBCAC was started about 30 years ago, founded by Karen Miller, who you just heard from. And I'd say about 6 years ago now, I was a graduate from Stony Brook University, and I was looking for something to do with my life. And I found Karen, and breast cancer was something that had been close to home at the time. My mom had been diagnosed with cancer, and a local organization helped my family out tremendously. So when I saw Karen had an opening at Huntington Breast Cancer, I thought this was a great opportunity to give back, to help other people and their families, to help deal with the diagnosis. But when I joined on with Karen, I got a lot more than I bargained for, as I discovered the Prevention is the Cure campaign. Prevention is the Cure is the campaign through which we do all of our prevention education, which encompasses a really wide berth of activities, from the Students and Scientists program to outreaches that we do, advocacy efforts. So there's so much packed into that one name. But today we're really just going to talk about the Students and Scientists program, which was the thing that really struck me when I first got on board. And in the past 6 years, we've taken the program even further than it was when it started back in 2007. So this program, we have a one-year breakdown of how this works. The program is geared towards high school students, and it's getting them involved in science and science communication. So what we do is the first 6 weeks of their internship experience, they delve into the science through a variety of reading, writing, and conversation with each other, and with myself and Karen and some other professionals. Cappy, Scott, Al have all helped us out with really getting the kids engaged and talking through that experience and really starting to understand, because we really want them to have a good foundation of the science as they move forward. So we talk about things that are pertinent to the students, which are things like personal care products, plastics, the environment, and we really tie it all together and give them a good foundation of what is environmental health. The second thing that they do is, through the summer experience, they are either placed somewhere in a lab, so like Fox Chase Cancer Center, the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. So we've had students work with Gia Chen and Sarah Evans. We've had students do a variety of different things across the country, actually. So they get a lot of really wonderful experiences at these labs and facilities, as well as in the community. We have students who work on conducting their own outreach programs. So they develop like a 6-week program, and they go into community centers and really get even younger kids engaged. And this opportunity to explore really provides them with, okay, so how can I take the science that I learned and apply it? How can I actually do a hands-on experience and put it all together into one thing? Once that experience is over, so research, community work, citizen science, we then want them to kind of give back to the community even more, regardless of what their project was. Each student is placed in what we think is best suited to their skill sets and where they really will thrive. But then through the school year, we really focus on having them, not just take that experience all for themselves. It's about giving back and how can they inspire other students to really learn more and do more. And it's not just students, so they do middle school marathons where they speak to hundreds of kids every single year, to kind of give younger kids the tools to start thinking about their health. And like Karen said, it's not about me, it's about you. So when those kids are sitting there listening to the high school kids, it's about what can you, the middle school student, do to improve your health? Why does this matter to you? And coming from the high school kids, they do it in a fun way. They throw things around, they get involved, they do fun activities, we bring out whiteboards, we play games. And it really just, these high school kids come up with the most incredible creative ways to send their messages, whether it's in that middle school setting or whether they go to a church or whether they create materials. Now, material creation is a whole nother piece of the puzzle. So here's kind of, here's a few pictures of some of the experiences that students have had, just to give you a few faces. So here you can see one of our most recent graduates. She's now in college, though she still helps out with mentoring younger kids. In the top left corner, Savannah Zafar with Sarah Evans. That was from, I believe, last year, I want to say. We also have a few other students you can see here in our offices, working on developing various projects. We have a recent photo, which is from Zoom, which is how much more of our meetings have been conducted as of late. But over the years, whether it's Zoom or in person, all of our students have been so eager to engage, to get out there, to make a difference. They've gone to national conferences at BSERP, which you'll see in the top right-hand corner. And so we have just so many students that the central photo up top with everyone in the yellow shirts is actually one of our middle school marathons. It's an entire production. You see one of the young men with a hat on, he went from doing a facade as a doctor to being a farmer. And they really just have so many wonderful experiences from the lab to the classroom to anywhere that they go. So after their experiences, I mentioned that they do a lot of creative content in addition to their outreaches. So we kind of break it down currently into 4 different areas that they really apply their efforts depending on their skill sets, their interests, and their direction. So one of those things is visual, which is photos and videos on social media, a very key component of their work. Conversational, which is live outreaches, and more recently podcasts. We've had a few of our students, they started releasing in October, and I'll show a few examples of some of these things. They also do written work for blogs and our website content. And recently as well, they've started developing tools like games and lifestyle apps. So they really do so many different things, but it's all in the name of environmental health, building their own skills and building capacity to have stakeholders in this so important area. So I'm going to show you just a few examples of some of these things that they've put together. And if the sound doesn't work, please someone let me know. So the first thing is some social media content. And you're about to see a clip of a TikTok video that one of our students created, as well as a couple Instagram posts.
All human beings have one thing in common. At some point, we experience environmental stress. But what exactly is environmental stress? Initially used as a survival mechanism, environmental stress is basically any negative psychological response to an environmental stimulus, or anything that makes you feel discomforted. When stressed, your adrenal glands release adrenaline and cortisol, and the symptoms are pretty subjective. Everyone reacts to stress differently, and what may cause stress for one person may not cause stress to another. However, 95% of diseases are linked to stress in some way, and it can cause an increased risk of diabetes, irregular periods, heart disease, lower sperm count, weakened immune system, depression, anxiety, and death. Yeah, that's pretty bad. So how do we stop ourselves from getting stressed? One of the most natural and effective ways is by listening to music, and you're probably doing it right now.
So I'm going to stop it there just for the sake of time, and we have a couple other brief things that we want to showcase. But that's one of my favorite things that our students have put together. They've really gotten creative with TikTok and as well as their Instagram posts. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see some of these stories as well as posts. And they've even, so a couple years ago, we had some of our students make infographics alongside their work with Sarah Evans. And we've even started to, as things change on social media, as things do every couple of months, we try to keep up with the trends. They've started to turn the infographics into, to change with the trends, to have a more updated and concise look to these infographics. And they do stories. So they really try to encompass everything that social media has to provide. So we're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and it's really them who drive that train to get that information out there in fun and creative ways. The next clip I'm only going to show partially. It is a video that a few of our students put together. Again, with Sarah, I know I keep mentioning you, but we really do love all of the work that our students do in science communication, and Sarah's been a huge part of that. So this next video I'm going to show briefly is on our YouTube channel. We've shared it at outreaches as well in a variety of venues. All of this stuff has been able to be used in a variety of dynamic ways. It's not just posted, it's shared in a million ways. So here's a brief clip of the next one. So I'm going to pause that one there and briefly just share how these students, they put everything together in a way that's personal, that gets the message across, that goes from the problem to small solutions, because the idea is to kind of give people small ways that they can make change in their lives for the better. And also a few ways if they want to take it a step further. So it's always about inspiring from the smallest step to the largest step and ending on a positive note. The next brief clip I'm going to share is audio only. It's from our podcast. As of course, we take everything very seriously and we really want to make sure everything has a polished look. We worked with a colleague of ours to create kind of a professional opening for our podcast to really kind of, make it a full production. So I'm going to show that very quickly.
Welcome to Wise Guides, a wake up in science education, a student-led podcast series produced for the New York State Children's Environmental Health Center, a product of HBCAC and their Prevention is the Cure campaign. And now, here's your Wise Guides.
Welcome back, everyone. We are the Wise Guides. My name is Matt.
And I'm Savannah.
And we are bringing you another episode.
So the podcast, it is also accompanied by a variety of written blogs. You can see here on the screen, we have a student who puts together kind of a concise breakdown of the podcast, as well as puts together some infographics to break it down even further, make it visual and fun, as everyone learns in different ways. And on the left side, you see some of the topics that we've had students write about in the past. So that's kind of a nice example of a lot of the things that the students have done. We could really go on forever about all of the amazing things they've put together. But for the sake of time, we'll keep moving on. Just a few quick things to mention. Our students, we really focus on helping them to build skill sets that they could bring into any career that they go into. So this includes things like real world experience, confidence, leadership, constructive critique, a good understanding of policy, responsibility and time management, social media marketing. These are all things that can be beneficial to them no matter what they do. However, we do have a lot of students that we see who are interested in medicine. So you'll see here, these are 3 of our over 60 students that have gone through the program. Savannah, who I mentioned before, is our most recent graduate. She's currently at St. John's. Next to her is Tareem, who is actually our first student, who is a graduate of both Yale and Columbia. And last week, we just found out the news that Pablo Palacios just received his PhD. So it's really exciting when we see these students, so many years later, where they are, what this did for them. And below, you can see a quote from Tareem and about how her experience with HBCAC was instrumental in her pursuit of her career path. And we hear so much from students and parents down the line about, what they really learned from their experiences and from us and what it ingrained in them. So through environmental health, we're able to help these students really figure out their directions and where they want to go, who they want to be, and give them those skill sets to be successful. Now, this program is a full year program, but that we primarily run. However, we always encourage replication and we always want to do shareware and work with other people. So on this screen, you'll see it's possible to run a full year program yourself if you're interested in running something similar to our high school program. I have all the tools that I'm happy to share at any time. You just have to shoot us an email. But also our Long Island Center, we recently started to put something together through Google Classrooms that kind of breaks things down and creates a class that anyone can do. So whether you're a teacher in a classroom, whether you have interns, whether it's high school kids or medical professionals that you're looking to train in a dynamic way, we also started to create these classrooms. And our student program, we've kind of boiled it down in a way. So we've kind of bridged the gap between our typical outreaches and our full 1-year program into having a 1-week-long engagement that could be conducted by anyone who wants to kind of give youth, medical professionals, trainees, whatever it may be, kind of that a brief introduction to environmental health and really kind of a self-look, a self-reflection as to why is this important to me and why should I care to get involved? So that said, this graphic is one of the kind of introductory graphics to the classroom that we created, the first one that we're going to pilot in the next couple weeks with one of our long-term partners